So, I'm getting married to my husband over the weekend. Little did I know, he invited a stripper to our wedding. Yeah, the one he met the night before. Let me preface this by saying nothing like this has ever happened before, which is what left me so utterly flabbergasted, as I had a lot of trust in our relation. My husband, we'll call him Steve, and I planned to get married in Vegas with an entourage last year. But due to COVID, we got courthouse married last year and did our wedding in Vegas this year for our 1-year anniversary. We like to have fun, so our Vegas plans included hitting a strip club. The day before our wedding, we were all supposed to go to the club together, but I drank too much and was confined to bed, so my husband and some friends hit the strip club, and I stayed back at the hotel. Cool, no big deal, right? He did not come home until 7 a.m. Still cool, not ideal to get married on no sleep, but it doesn't bother him, then it doesn't bother me. He gets home and starts talking about 2 strippers he met. One who wants to come to our wedding, we'll call her Stella. She told him she did not want to be weird and she had a boyfriend, but our wedding sounded cool, so she wanted to come. Again, cool, whatever. We had the room, so it wasn't really a formal wedding. And what's a Vegas wedding without a stripper from the night before? Then he tells me about the other stripper, who he thinks wanted to have a threesome with us because she said, quote, his wife sounded hot, and he invited her to the wedding also. I did not really say much to that. He's mentioned wanting to have a threesome before, and it's never been off the table. But we've only really discussed briefly and vaguely like a quote, we might do that someday. He also got both of their numbers to send them the info, but that's where things start to go downhill. For a majority of the time leading up to the wedding, we did not spend our time separate before the wedding since we were already married. He's talking about how he really thinks that they're going to show up, and he can't believe strippers are coming to our wedding. Like, he talked about it almost every word. Not the greatest vibe for a bride on her wedding day who's expecting to be her husband's main focus. But it did not bother me as much at the time because I assumed he was just excited and maybe a little high on Vegas. Wedding time rolls around and Stella actually shows. She's gorgeous, sweet, and we decide we might visit her at the club later that night since I missed out on the night before and was a little bummed. We part ways and head out to take our wedding portraits. My husband is still talking about Stella, but now it's about what club she'll be at and when later that evening. At one point, he even referred to her as his Vegas girlfriend to our friends, which made me feel uneasy, but I laughed it off as a joke, and again figured he was just in Vegas. We headed to dinner and my husband is sucked into his phone, barely speaking to me and still managing to rush me to meet up with our friends to go see Stella. Well, we meet up with our friends, bar hop for a bit, then head to Stella's club, with the expectation that we'll stay for an hour because it's late and everyone's pretty beat. We get there, and after about 10 minutes, Stella comes over to hang out. Steve wants to get a couple's lap dance. I tell him I don't want to, go without me. I would prefer to sit back and tip the girls dancing on the pole as I'm very sober. Could not drink after partying too hard the day before. And at this point, feeling a little awkward, as my husband seems to be very into Stella. After several minutes of being talked into by Stella and Steve, I uncomfortably agree and we head back. The dance starts and I'm that person that doesn't know what to do with my hands, and I'm waiting for it to end. Stella tries her best to make me feel at ease, joking, complimenting me, but it just makes me feel more awkward. Well, that and Steve asking me more than once why I'm being awkward. After several minutes, I leave before the dance is over, but tell them to finish. Oh, and they do. Several minutes later, they come back to the group. Stella perches on my chair and tells me that Steve told her he wanted to have a threesome. Then she apologetically told me doesn't want to do that with customers. I'm mortified for several reasons. Number 1, number 2, and number 3. Because he crossed the professional line and it was disrespectful. Especially because he knows she has a boyfriend. Number 2, he made it sound like I was into it. And number 3, arguably the most important, this man asked someone to have a threesome without discussing it with me at all on our wedding night. At this point, we've been here about an hour and our friend group decided to leave. All of us, except my husband. He opted to stay at the strip club alone with the girl who just shot him down for a threesome, while all of his friends and his wife went back to the hotel. To be fair, he did ask me if it was okay and I said it was, because, well, at that point, I don't have it in me to explain to this man all the ways he's disrespecting me. He gets home an hour or two later and asks me if I'm mad, and I unleash on him. But I don't get far before he cuts me off by continuously saying I'm sorry I'm an a-hole, until I stop even trying to talk about it. We go to bed, and in the morning he tells me he apologized to Stella and deleted her contact info. So, we leave for our 5-day honeymoon, and I don't discuss it again. Except for once when he informs me that Stella appreciated the apology, but said it wasn't necessary as she wants us to come see her next time we're in Vegas. Great. I spent our honeymoon either stoned, not a healthy crutch, I know, but it was the only thing that made it bearable, which allowed me to occasionally forget the incident, or silently fuming, wondering if I was overreacting, afraid to go off if this wasn't an actual big deal as I thought it was. Because, well, he obviously did not think so. He asked me multiple times if I was okay, and every time I just gave a half-hearted, "I'm fine." We returned home, and I told my best friend the story, because I needed to talk to someone about it, and I needed her to tell me if all the concerns were just in my head, and I was overreacting. She confirmed that my concerns were indeed valid. I was not overreacting. That night, I confronted my husband and actually got to speak. When I finished, he apologized. He said he thought a threesome was what I wanted because, well, I was excited when he brought it up earlier that day. No, I wasn't. He said he knew he ducked up, but he did not bring it up sooner because he thought I wanted to wait until after the vacation to discuss it. Right? Why would I want this to hang over our vacation like a rain cloud instead of working through it right away? So, what should I do? I thought this man was my future. We have dogs together, and we're discussing children. I don't want to give up on it easily, but I don't know if I can get past this. It's not just what he did in Vegas, it's how he behaved afterwards. What's up, guys? Mr. Reddito here. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I just want you to know this insane story is not over yet. There's an update. Okay, but before we hop into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, just so you know. It deeply helps me and supports the channel, and I want to thank you for supporting that. Alright, let's go ahead and get right to your update. Almost a year ago, I turned to you guys following the most embarrassing moment of my life to open the door for even more embarrassment. The masochist in me got positively tingly at the hateful comments and continuing a relationship that everyone on here, myself included, knew was doomed. No amount of supportive comments could stop me from being terrified at ending my relationship. We obviously aren't happy, but we are damn comfortable. Too comfortable. We have 3 dogs, we have a house that he owns in his name, and I have a good bit of debt and a job with no health insurance. I was too overwhelmed to face all those challenges and comes to terms with my marriage being over. So I gave up the little self-respect I had and stayed. I tried to work on my issues, work on us, and see if our relationship is indeed salvageable. Spoiler alert, and I'm sure this will shock you. It's not. There's just no shaking the feeling that he just doesn't really care about me, beyond what I represent about him to other people. He's happy to sing my praises about being his pretty cool, laid-back wife to anyone who will listen. Yeah, mother duckers, you called the girl cool. Congrats. Except me. To me, he's almost exclusively critical. I've pretty much always feel like I'm failing. We rarely have sex, and when we did, it felt selfish and disconnected. He loves being a romantic for the sake of a story to tell, but you won't catch him caring about my needs unless I'm blowing up and demanding. Two of my least favorite things to do. And then suddenly, there's a sense of urgency. He was all ready to do couples counseling after Vegas to save our marriage. Until I stopped being actively mad all the time. We never made it to a single session. The one time I worked up the nerve to bring it up, he changed the subject as soon as he could, and we have not discussed it since. When I decided to stay, I told myself I'll give it a year. If I wasn't happy and feeling like we were making progress, I'm done. Our anniversary is in just over 2 weeks, and I'm no more ready than I was to face the challenge this will bring. But a deal is a deal. So, here I am, guys, asking for encouragement and advice, especially if you know anything about divorce in Pennsylvania, because this crap is overwhelming. Okay, I just want to start off by saying I think OP's new husband is a complete jerk. He has no respect for the woman he apparently loves, and to do something like this, I honestly think OP did not even take it hard enough. She just kind of stayed quiet about the whole situation, but I would not be surprised if someone in her position would have abruptly shouted for Stella to get the heck out of this wedding. But I do want to read a comment down below because, like some commenters said, it's not fully Stella's fault for showing up. It's definitely her husband 100%. But let's read this comment. What makes this the most embarrassing is that Stella is very clearly giving OP a massive heads up that her new husband had been incredibly inappropriate with her. It was a proper, subtle, woman-to-woman, your man is arranging threesomes and other inappropriate stuff. So guys, what I'm asking you is, let me know how you would have handled this situation if you were OP and your new husband was acting like this. Drop your thoughts down below. There's one more story we're going to look at. Am I the a-hole for kicking a server out of my wedding? I'm 25 female and my husband's 30, and I got married last Friday. We planned our dream wedding down our dream catering company. The wedding was beautiful. After the pictures, we headed to our cocktail hour. And that's when I saw her. My guests were all told to wear dark colors, so my husband and I stood out. I also asked my guests to wear minimal makeup, and I assumed that applied to staff too. The server, who's 19-ish, had on clearly too much eyeliner. She also had diamond studs in her ears, a flashy ring, and one of those ugly nose studs. The staff's uniform was a black long-sleeve shirt, but on her, it was too low cut and her pants were far too tight. Let me just say, it was super distracting. She was walking around serving drinks and talking to my guest. I asked another member of the staff to speak to their boss. When the boss came out, I pointed at the server and asked that she be dealt with because she was super distracting. Their boss apologized and called the server to the kitchen. Not even an hour later, the server was back out serving food for dinner. I called the boss over again and asked if the server could work in the back or go home. Her boss said they were short-staffed tonight, so they would see what they can be done. After a couple hours of not seeing her, I saw the server again behind the bar. I called the boss out one last time and told her if the server did not leave, I'll be calling the cops. The boss finally relented and told the girl to just go home. My husband and mother-in-law said I was acting crazy and that I probably got a poor college kid fired over nothing. My mother and maid of honor said it's my wedding so I can do as I please. It's my wedding and I don't want someone overshining me, and the server should know she's at work, not to dress up so much. I do feel kind of bad because she was pretty young. So guys, am I the a-hole? I don't know, guys. I did not even have to read the comments. I just knew right away what the majority of people would think of this story. Absolutely the a-hole. I mean, come on, the poor girl was probably in high school or college, and she was just trying to work her job. She's wearing the uniform they provided, doing nothing wrong, getting no complaints about her service. It's just this Karen, aka the OP of the story, who decides to make this poor server's life hell. Guys, I don't think it was fair, so let me know what you thought about this story in the comment section below. If you don't agree with me, that's totally okay, but I think this lady was a Karen. So guys, that's all the stories today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope each and every one of you have an amazing day, and I'll catch you in the next one.